Yes, welcome into Sports Bit. Betty and Inside today. They don't no flags on bow and arrows on this show, unlike the NFL, baby. Wednesday, October 5th. Big game breakdown. We have you covered with Temple and Memphis college football, Cardinals and the 49ers in the NFL, and game one between the Red Sox and the Indians. Drew Martin, the deep dive, how to bet and how to beat the postseason in Major League Baseball, and the play of the day. The Blue Jays survive in extra innings. They cover the run line, Teddy. And we ripped their bullpen, which was awful this whole season, with a horrible September, and they shut down the Orioles for 5 innings.
Oh, shut them down, isn't it? I mean, they no-hit the Orioles for 5 innings. They only gave up 1 walk. Cecil gave up a walk in the 7th, and that was it. Pretty good performance from that bullpen. That being said, I mean, the Blue Jays blew so many chances, and then Ubaldo came in the game, and that was it. But, I mean, the way Liriano was throwing, it felt like it was going to be a while before Baltimore was going to score a run. Liriano was just mowing them down. And even though we had that Orioles ticket in our pockets, we're talking about how good we felt about Baltimore's bullpen. They took a lot of bad at-bats last night. They really did.
Yes, I'll agree with you there. And if you're a casual fan, if you don't love baseball, you still got to tune into this series because the Blue Jays and the Rangers hate each other. We had the brawl earlier in the season, Teddy. And, of course, what happened last year in that epic 5-game series, and Joey Bats had the bat flip as they hit a walk-off.
Yeah, it'll be. One would think that series will be very different from the pitchers' duel. And who'd have thunk it? Pitchers' duel last night, giving the starting pitching stats that we talked about yesterday on SportsBit. But Jays Rangers might be very entertaining to watch. Last night's game was great to watch if you like strikeouts and weak grounders.
The best pitcher for the Orioles doesn't get in the game.
And there was a right move by Showalter. No ifs, ands, or buts. You save Britton for the save opportunity, and you don't bring him in a tie game. I thought Showalter, there was no, even though we lost with Ubaldo, Showalter made the right move there. No ifs, ands, or buts. You got to have someone to save the game if you're going to win it.
All right, well, you can get rid of him for next year now. Now he never gets in the game, your season's over.
They will hit him for next year.
Wow.
Now, what do you mean ridiculous? What are you supposed to do? Put your closer in a non-closer situation, then not have a closer if
Put
you
him in. Extend the game. Put him in.
No. You save your closer for when you have the opportunity to close out the game, period. That's what Britton does. Showalter doesn't want to take him out of his comfort zone. I don't question the moves that Buck Showalter makes. He's earned my respect.
All right. Liriano was on fire, too. You're right. He was a lot of bad at-bats, too. Hey, Stroman pitched well, too. He made one mistake. Trumbo took him deep, although he gave him 6 strong. All right. NFL midweek line movers. Money coming in on Tennessee. They don't like Miami. I can't blame them.
Yeah, and it looks like the 3.5s might disappear on Tennessee. So that's still the prevailing number out there. But the market forces are saying, if you like the Titans, bet them sooner rather than later. Certainly the leading indicator books are already saying that this line could move to 3. And yeah, I mean, the Dolphins haven't been all that impressive. And that's putting it mildly. Their last point spread cover came Week 1 against the Seahawks, a game in which they didn't, they have a field goal until late in the 4th quarter. It was all Seattle not being able to move the football as much as Miami doing anything right. So certainly the markets are souring on the Dolphins. And we've seen a fair bit of support for Tennessee in each of the last 2 weeks.
Some Baltimore money as the Redskins have a ton of injuries on defense.
Oh, yeah, they sure do. I mean, Ravens going from 3.5 to 4 at many books. Okay, so here's what's gone for Washington. They already lost Angelo Hall. He's on IR. Brashard Breeland, he's got an ankle strain. Don't know yet if he's going to be able to go. Then last week they lost Ryan Kerrigan. He's got an MRI scheduled on that this week. David Bruton and Suar Cravens, the 2 guys from the secondary, both with concussions who are in concussion protocol. And Will Compton left the game with a couple of injuries in that contest as well. So a lot of defensive injuries for a defense that hasn't been very good, Paulie. But even with that, the total's been bet down, 47 all the way down to 44.5. Big move on Redskins, Ravens under. You know what's up with that?
Hurricane, baby.
Yep, exactly. Pay attention to that hurricane tracking. And notice how every single college football game on Saturday and this NFL game on Sunday, the only one, that are potentially in the path of the storm, they all took under money from the open. The wise guys looking to beat the markets. And you know what? If the hurricane doesn't come, They can come back with a wager on the other side, and it's not going to kill them. But they're trying to beat the markets on those potential Hurricane games. There was at least half a dozen, maybe 8 or 9 bet in college. And this one, despite the Redskins' defensive injuries, took a ton of money on the under in the NFL.
Broncos up to 6 at home against the Falcons. Simeon Tuesday told Denver Sports 760, a radio station that's partnered with the Broncos, said he's feeling pretty good, better today than I was yesterday. Thankfully, it's my left shoulder. Makes it a little better. It's just sore. Kubiak should have a decision shortly.
Yeah, he said that after a couple of days of practice that Simeon's still the number one quarterback and he will be moving forward. He said that Simeon was capable of playing last Sunday, and he's also capable of playing without practice this week. That's what he did after an injury before the third preseason game. Remember, he bruised his, well, nobody remembers. I remember. Simeon bruised his right shoulder in the preseason against San Fran. He didn't throw in practice the whole week, but still started the next game against the LA Rams. Here's Simeon's quote. Obviously, you want to get all the physical reps and be out there and actually doing the work and putting the time in. That's one of the things I've learned you've got to be good at as well. Mental reps and making them count. I think that's something that quarterbacks coach Greg Knapp will help me out with, and Rick Dennison and Gary Kubiak, I think we'll be all right there. But the bottom line is the money's coming on Denver. They think Simeon's going to play. Simeon, not an experienced quarterback. He's not likely to be practicing all week long.
Sunday Night Football, the Giants back on prime time. Packers at home. Giants off a short week. Packers off the bye. Money on Green Bay.
Yeah, and this is a lot of injuries that the Packers suffered before the bye. Remember all that over money that came in on the Lions-Packers in that game before the bye? Well, let's see. Clay Matthews didn't play. He's back in practice. Dayton Jones didn't play. He's back in practice. Morgan Burnett didn't play. He's back in practice. LaTroy Guion is all back in practice this week, and all of them missed the last game. So for Green Bay, they're getting healthier. But the Giants are getting healthier, too. They missed a couple of guys against the Vikings that could be back this week as well. Eli Apple could be back from his hamstring injury. Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, who dressed but didn't play against Minnesota, could be back with a groin from his groin injury. And safety Nat Bertha could be clearing the concussion protocol this week. So the Giants getting healthier as Green Bay is, and yet all the money's coming to the Packers. Then again, this quote from Ben McAdoo, it's a short week, and it's not going to get any easier. That's the truth of it, Ben. No easy task to go into Lambeau on a Sunday night.
What do you think of the Beckham thing? Said football's not fun right now, and throwing tantrums on the sidelines. Is he a distraction right now?
You know, it's 2 losses. It's not like they're sitting here and they're a 1-9 team in November. You know what I mean? You've just lost back-to-back weeks. I thought it was a little bit immature. That being said, we're talking about a pretty significant talent. He's not the first wide receiver to get upset because he hasn't had a lot of big plays. I mean, that's kind of the nature of the position. I don't think OBJ making those comments is necessarily that big a deal. And in terms of distractions, come on. The Giants are in the New York media market. Everything's a distraction in the New York media market. They're used to it.
Up next, NFL, college football, and the Major League Baseball playoffs and big game breakdown, and Drew Martin, how to beat and how to bet the MLB playoffs. It's coming up on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.
All right, back on SportsBit. Time for big game breakdown. As always, live odds, sportsbookreview.com. Thursday night NFL football. You have the Cardinals on the road to take on the 49ers. Arizona up to 443 the total. They'll know today whether Carson Palmer travels with the team. He's in the concussion protocol. What do you think, Teddy? Palmer or Stanton?
Well, the markets made a statement yesterday that they thought that there was definitely a live chance that Carson Palmer plays in this game. Because this game was sitting at 2.5, 3, and boom, it got bet up to 4 in a hurry. Money came on the over as well. So there's a chance that we're going to see Carson Palmer playing in this contest. That being said, is that a good thing? Look at the numbers from compared to this year, compared to last year. He's been under much more pressure. He's been sacked significantly more, 7.3% this year compared to 4.4 last year. The passer rating down more than 23 points last year. An elite quarterback this year, not so much. And look, I mean, Arizona's got weapons. They have weapons at wide receiver. They have weapons at running back. They don't need great quarterback play, but they do need someone to take care of the football. We haven't seen Carson Palmer do that. We haven't seen Drew Stanton do that. Stanton certainly didn't do it against the Rams with 2 INTs, although one of them was on a forced heave in the final seconds.
Yeah, well, they have weapons, so you're right. Just take care of the ball. And Stanton went 5-3 as a starter in 2014, although he only had a passer rating of 78.7 in that one. And now with the 49ers, a huge loss on defense, Teddy, as Bowman's out for the year.
Yeah, and that's an enormous loss, and I don't know that it's a loss that the markets are fully going to appreciate, because when a quarterback's hurt, when a running back's hurt, when Des Bryant's hurt, the markets pay attention. When Navarro Bowman gets hurt, the markets don't pay a whole lot of attention. Look, before Bowman got out, or was knocked out of the game last week, Dallas averaged 5.1 yards per play and 4.6 yards per carry. After Bowman left the game, Dallas averaged 8.0 yards per play and 6.4 yards per carry. Okay, Elliott had runs of 26 yards, 23 yards, 17 yards, all in the final 21 minutes. And of course, it doesn't count the kneel downs that Prescott took at the end of the game when he took a knee. But all of a sudden, the Cowboys were gashing the 49ers. Remember, Dallas was without 2 of their top offensive linemen last week as well. So to see that type of a difference, 5.1 yards per play to 8.0, 4.6 yards per carry to 6.4, and that's just one piece of the equation. Now you have the leadership issue as well, Paulie. That's San Fran's been talking about a lot in practice this week.
Yep, and now they got to replace him on a short week, and Armstrong, their number 2, is out. He's already on IR, so a special teams guy is got to step in and fill that void. Not to mention, will they be gassed, the defense gassed, with the Chip Kelly offense on a short week?
Sure. When we look at what's happening in Philadelphia this year, it's been the Eagles' defense. Carson Wentz is getting the love, and the Eagles' defense has been the difference. What has created Philadelphia's improved defensive numbers? Maybe they have better schemes, maybe they have better personnel, but they're also on the field less because the offense is taking longer possessions. San Fran's doing the opposite now, obviously using the Chip Kelly scheme. They want to go hurry, rush, and the defense is on the field too much. They face 72 plays per game during this 3-game losing streak. That's 8 more than the league average. The last 3 opponents all went for over 400 yards. And Bowman, I'm telling you, leader on the field, leader in their locker room, huge loss for the 49ers. And when you look at those quotes from Arizona, some of which we talked about on yesterday's Sports Bit, I think they're coming to play. And plus, what's up with that 49ers offense? You think San Fran's going to be able to score in this game, Paulie?
No, I don't. It's they're not in sync. You look at Gabbert's numbers with this graphic, 2015 yards per play, 6.8, passer rating of 86.2. This year, 5.3 yards per play, 73 passer rating. Haven't been able to do much in San Francisco. Could be a low-scoring game. ESPN, live odds, sportsbookreview.com, college football now, Thursday night, Temple at Memphis. Memphis 10, 60.5 the total. Revenge here, 31-12 last year as a road loss, 3.5-point favorites as Memphis went down, and they have struggled against Temple in their physical style since they joined the American Athletic Conference. Temple 2-1 straight up and 3-0 ATS against them.
Exactly. Memphis' offense hasn't worked. They had a great offense last year. They had an NFL first-rounder at quarterback, and they scored 12 points against Temple. In that 3-year span, I believe the most they scored against the Owls was 21. And you talked about Temple 3-0 ATS in those meetings. They beat the spread by 55 points in those contests. Not close. And then you have the issue of Memphis and maybe some defensive fatigue on a short week. We just talked about that concept with the San Francisco 49ers. Let's talk about it with the Memphis Tigers. They spent all day on Saturday chasing Ole Miss players. They didn't catch them that often. They allowed 624 yards in that game, and Ole Miss one play after the next, running that up-tempo scheme. Memphis had a little chance to defend them. They were on the field for 88 plays in that contest. And what's the strength of Temple? They're physical on the line of scrimmage, and they run the football. Jahad Thomas and that deep running back core, they ran for 200 yards against this defense and a couple of touchdowns last year. And if they're able to keep that Memphis offense off the field with the ground game, it's going to be hard for the Tigers to cover that 10-point number.
Yeah, good point there. The first quarter is huge because if Temple falls behind, they are not a good come from behind team. Philip Walker, the quarterback, only completing 55% of his passes, more interceptions than touchdowns. So they have to run the ball and they have to keep it close or they could be in trouble. One more MLB playoffs Thursday night. The Red Sox and the Indians, game one. It is Porcello against Bauer. Red Sox $1.40, 8.5 the total. This is Thursday night. Series price, Red Sox minus $1.65. Porcello went 9-15 last year with a 4.92 ERA. Nobody had this guy as the Cy Young front runner, Teddy.
Cy Young front runner, I mean, there are odds preseason you wouldn't have found Rick Porcello anywhere. You would have found him as the least likely to win the Cy Young this year, perhaps. Brilliant season, and he's been effective in all kinds of different ways. 22-4 with a 3.15 ERA over 33 starts, and he was about as consistent as a pitcher could be. He allowed more than 4 earned runs one time all season. He faced the Indians once, a 5-2 win in Fenway back in May.
So they have a great manager in Francona. They have a veteran with playoff experience with Napoli who had a great season, but they're new to the playoffs. This group, last time they made the playoffs was 2007. So what do you think of the lack of experience here?
Irrelevant. Experience, winning cures the inexperience factor. Francona, obviously he's a guy who's been around the postseason. Napoli's a guy who's been around the postseason. But they can't, Francona's got 2 World Series rings, and he's won 28 postseason games. What's he, 28-18 in the postseason? Does that help Trevor Bauer, though? Not necessarily. Bauer, 30-32 with a 4.42 ERA for his career. 12-8 this season, 4.26. He's wildly inconsistent. When Bauer has got his best stuff, he can mow teams down. Doesn't happen every single day. And, he battles. I'll give him that. But in terms of dynamite stuff, game in, game out, that's not Trevor Bauer. Not compared to certainly Rick Porcello this season.
Tough news with the injuries. Kluber will pitch game 2, but Salazar and Carrasco hurt as well. So rough 1, 2, 3 injuries there with the pitching staff with the Indians. Up next, Drew Martin. We'll stay with baseball, the deep dive, how to bet and how to beat baseball in the playoffs. And the play of the day on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Do your research before you bet. Check out our ratings guide to see which books have the best ratings and sign-up bonuses. Open up several accounts and shop for lines at SBRodds.com. Always be ahead of the game.
It's deep dive time here on SportsBit, and being that it's baseball playoffs, who better to bring in than Drew Martin from SportsMemo.com, who's been a regular contributor to the show, as well as other videos on SBRPicks.com. Drew, welcome to SportsBit.
Hey, Teddy, thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited for this time of year in sports. We got basketball right around the corner, MLB playoffs, and college football in full swing, man. Thanks for having me on, Teddy.
Hey, pleasure's mine. Let's get right down to it. MLB playoffs. Basic strategy? Is there a basic strategy for playoffs? What do you counsel someone that's just trying to learn the nuances of handicapping the MLB postseason?
Well, yeah, I do think I'll start with saying I do think it's a bit different than the regular season. And my advice would be to kind of keep your exposure low. And the MLB playoffs are a bit random. Just to throw out a couple stats to put it in perspective, teams that have the best record in the regular season since 1995, that's the wild card era since that began, only 4 of the 26 teams have actually won the World Series, and 11 times they didn't make it out of the division series. So a lot of times the best record and who puts up the most wins doesn't always translate into the postseason in Major League Baseball, Teddy.
So what kind of factors can bettors look for? Because that's certainly something that I've noticed over the years, is that playing the chalk in the playoffs isn't necessarily the way to go. But what are the areas that you like to look at for postseason baseball? Because the number one area for me is always bullpens in October. And the teams that have, I could care less about a lot of the starting pitching matchups. When a team has an elite bullpen, when they can contain their opponents in the latter stages, hold on to leads, to me, that's the number one factor. What's your number one factor, Drew?
Yeah, you're taking words out of my mouth, Teddy. I mean, whether you chalk it up, no pun intended, to sequencing small sample size, given the 7 games or even, down to 5 games, I think it does come down to bullpen. And, we've seen it in recent years. Look no further than the Kansas City Royals. It's just high leverage situations and having really your best pitcher on the mound coming out of the pen with the right matchup. And it tends to have a bigger impact in the playoffs than it does in the regular season.
And it's not just Kansas City. Of course, when you look at St. Louis and the World Series titles they won in the last decade, you look at San Francisco and the titles that they won over the last decade, all of them predicated on a bullpen that could get key outs in tight situations in the latter stages of the contest. What else besides bullpens? And let me ask you this first. Who's got the bet? I mean, who are our bet on bullpens here? Who do we want our money on when it comes to these bullpen? And then I'm going to ask you about what other factors we want to consider. So answer the second question first. Bullpens. Who's got a bet on? Who's got a bet against?
Well, I mean, as far as bullpens, and this is really what I'm looking to do as far as bet on teams. Best bullpens, in my opinion, it's a wild card team. It's the Baltimore Orioles. They have arguably the best closer in all of baseball in Zach Britton, and their bullpen whip the last month is just 1.07. So I'm not looking to really fade the Orioles anytime soon in this playoff series.
But we're recording this as Baltimore has just thrown the first pitch in Toronto. So we don't know yet how that game's going to turn out as we record this segment. Anyone else besides Baltimore? Let's just say that Baltimore's eliminated by the time that this video actually comes out on SportsBit tomorrow. If the Orioles are eliminated, what other positive bullpen teams do we want to be looking at?
Well, I mean, one team that I've backed, especially in the second half of the season, is the Boston Red Sox. And, they have a pretty good bullpen, in my opinion. And they're a team that has a lot of versatility on the offensive side. They can kind of score runs in multiple facets, which is also a thing that I'm looking to bet on in the MLB playoffs. So I would go with Boston as well.
Yeah, see, I would use the LA Dodgers as the one that comes to mind. An underrated bullpen, a bullpen that hasn't gotten many accolades. They've been remarkably effective all regular season long. And LA, I'm telling you, in my opinion, the Dodgers, the team to beat in the National League. All right, let's talk a couple of more general strategies here. You talk about bullpens. What other factors? Are there any other factors that you look at here in the postseason besides elite level bullpens and or shaky bullpens that you want to bet against?
Yeah, I would throw in another factor that I actually kind of look to, I guess you could say a contrarian method, is teams with home field advantage in the division series are just 41 and 43 since 1995. Again, that's when the wild card era started. So I would actually look to put home field advantage and look to fade that. And home field advantage in the division series is just 8-8. So with odds makers likely going towards home field advantage mattering a little bit more than, in my opinion, it should, I'm actually going to look to fade that philosophy.
Well, all right, Drew, we've got 1 minute left here talking deep dive MLB playoff strategies. I want a bet on team and I want a bet against team moving forward.
All right. Well, bet on team. We already hit on it. It's the Orioles. I'm looking to back the Orioles, especially if obviously they make it out tonight, really because of their bullpen and their relievers. But a fade team for me is probably the San Francisco Giants. Weaker bullpen. And actually, I would also throw in there the Washington Nationals. They do have a pretty good bullpen, but they're banged up. Wilson Ramos, torn meniscus. Daniel Murphy, he's been banged up. Bryce Harper, been hurt as well. So the Nationals is a team I'm looking to fade as well.
Last question. The two series that are already set, the Red Sox against the Indians and the Dodgers against the Nationals. The road team is the favorite in both of those series. Which of the two underdogs do you think is more likely to escape with the series win? Cleveland or Washington?
Oh, man. I don't like either one.
Neither. Say neither.
Oh, it's definitely neither. I like both road teams in that.
So you're saying the road chalk is road chalk for a reason. Drew Martin, excellent analysis. Thank you for your time. Where can folks get a hold of you? They're looking to find more Drew Martin information.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. That's my name with BETS at the back of it. And then all my work's at sportsmemo.com.
Thank you so much, Drew. Enjoy the games and good luck.
Hey, SportsBit viewers, just one game in MLB today. Mike Brenner yesterday had a winner with the Blue Jays. run line and the
And the
team
money
total.
line.
And,
And the team total, too, cashed for
and
me.
we're going to break down the San Francisco Mets game. This
Damn,
is
I
a
forgot
tough
about
one.
that.
Tough one. Big pitching matchup here. Bumgarner and Syndergaard. Man.
Hey, when you guys are done, come on in. I got a pick you do not want to miss in this game. Trust me.
All right, back on SportsBit. Play of the day coming up, and it's time for Beat the Prick. It's a $50,000 NFL and college football contest at sportsbookreview.com. The Prick, hey, went 4-1 last week. We had him going 2-3, so good job there. And he hit his best bet with Oklahoma. The big lead was cut down to 3 in that one before they pulled away late and got another score after almost blowing a 25-point lead in the second half. Let's see who he's got this week, Teddy. Kentucky laying 3 against Vandy.
Hate it. 0-1.
Alabama and Arkansas over 48.5.
Yeah, okay. That one sounds fine. 1-1.
Cal 13 against god-awful Oregon State.
I'll take it, sure. 2-1.
A team that's 5-0 straight up in ATS. Western Michigan 19.5 against Northern Illinois.
That's good game. Northern Illinois was playing in a BCS bowl game 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were underdogs at Ball State last week. Yeah, okay. 3-1.
All right, and his best bet. Welcome back to the top 10, Miami. Miami 3 at home against the Seminoles.
Nah, I don't want that one. 3-2.
All right, very good.
So far I've been wrong handicapping him the first week and wrong handicapping him the second week, correct?
No, you were right the first week.
No. I had him at 3-2 and he went 2-3.
Oh, I thought you had him. Okay, very good. I thought he went 2-3.
So this week I'm calling 3-2. Good
All
for
right.
you, prick.
Very good. Get up there. Sportsbookreview.com. Take your shot against the Prick and try to win $50,000 the NFL in college football contest. Thanks to Drew Martin. Good job there. And big game breakdown, college tomorrow, NFL on Friday. You know how it works. We'll look to stay red hot football. But this is another baseball play, Teddy. What are we doing?
Well, let's go out to Citi Field in New York, and there aren't many pitchers or teams that I'm more comfortable backing in the postseason than Mad Bum and the San Francisco Giants. I know the Mets played better baseball down the stretch, and I know that the Mets went to the World Series last year. That was last year. Game number 933. San Francisco Giants minus 105. That's our play of the day.
All right, very good. Thanks to Drew. College football, NFL, big game breakdown coming up. What, 18-7-1 on the football season. We look to keep it going and have finished out the week with 2 strong shows. We'll see you back here Thursday on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.